Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone to ISKCON Mississauga. It is my good fortune to be in your association, and I seek the blessings of all the assembled devotees so that we can glorify the month of Kartik. And I was actually given a bit of a different instruction. I was told to speak about the glories of Srila Prabhupada with his disappearance. So we will speak in two parts. The first will glorify the month of Kartik, and then we will speak about His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. But before we start, I think it's important to set the foundation, because when we live in the outside world, when someone says, what is the glory of the month of October? It doesn't really make sense, right? We live in a society which is very mechanical. The Gregorian calendar that we follow, we have it is today is the 26th of October. Tomorrow is the 27th of October, which is just one day from what was today's date. There is absolutely no connection or relation with natural rhythms or the environment or something that we can tangibly experience. But according to the Vedic calendar, according to the Vedic culture, time is measured according to the movements of the sun, according to the movements of the moon, and the seasons, and within which we've also got 12 months which have a significant spiritual influence in our lives. In our regular lives, we celebrate New Year's on the 31st of December, the middle of winter, and the calendar changes at the middle of night, midnight. No one actually perceives something new starting as the new year. But in the Vedic culture, we celebrate New Year when? Does anyone know? Chaitra Shukla Pratipada, the first day in the month of Chaitra, which technically is the first day of spring. So you've got new bulbs, new buds, new flowers, new plants that are growing. You actually feel the change of the season. It makes the body resonate with something that is new. And even in our calendars, we speak about the movements of the sun, Uttarayana and Dakshinayana. And right now the sun is in the southern hemisphere, so we call it Dakshinayana. The month is described according to the movements of the moon. So at night, when you drive home, just look up and you'll see the moon is a nice sliver. It's the 5th day, and we will see it. You'll be able to identify it. And a month starts from Purnima to Purnima. So the beauty of the Vedic culture is that you're very interconnected with nature. And nature and Bhumi is an expansion of Krishna. You feel Krishna's energies. You feel Krishna's presence. So why do we celebrate the glories of particular months? So we know that there are 12 months, and each of the months is named after a form of Lord Vishnu. Vedically, specifically, in the Vaishnava calendar, we find the month of Kartik, which is the month that we're currently in, has a lot of spiritual significance in our spiritual lives. The month of Kartik is able to bestow significant blessings to those who perform even a little of spiritual activities. Now, according to Srila Prabhupada, we are taught, whenever we quote something, we have to quote from Sadhu, Guru, and Shastra. I'll quote from a few scriptures that define the glory of the month of Kartik. So, for example, in the Skanda Purana, which is one of the 18 Puranas, it is explained that as, I'm quoting from Skanda Purana, as Satya Yuga is the best of ages, we all know there's Satya, Treta, Dvapar, and Kali. Satya Yuga is the best of ages. The Vedas are the best of all scriptures. The Ganga is the best of all rivers. And so Kartik is the best of months, which is most dear to Lord Krishna. Then in the Padma Purana, it's explained amongst all 12 months, the month of Kartik is dear to Lord Sri Krishna. If somebody performs a little worship of Sri Hari in this month, Lord Hari offers to that devotee his own abode. That statement is true. This is from the Padma Purana. Then again, going back to the Skanda Purana, even if for a short time someone burns a lamp, so as Maharaj was saying, we're going to offer lamps. So here is the opportunity. What's going to happen? Listen carefully. If even for a short time somebody burns a lamp in the temple of Sri Hari, this is definitely the temple of Sri Hari, Lord Hari is here, then whatever sins he has acquired for millions of kalpas. Now kalpas, the 4 yugas combined, 1,000 cycles is one kalpa. So for that many years, you perform sinful activities that are stored in your warehouse, locked, and you'll be given them access at a later date. All of that is all destroyed. So the month of Kartik has a lot of benedictions and blessings for us. It is where the blessings within the performance of bhakti are magnified. It is said whatever little performance you do in the month of Kartik, you get 1,000 times the benefit. So it's like the mercy, everyone here, is anyone here who's not struggling or suffering in any way? Please raise your hand. Both my hands are down. We are all in this material world. Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita describes this material world as dukkhalayam ashashvatam, a place which is full of dukkha. So we've got, like the kitchen is called a bhojanalaya, where there's bhojan. The mountains are called Himalaya, where there's snow. It's just profuse snow. This place is called dukkhalaya, a place of misery. And in this misery, we keep doing karmic reaction and karmic activities. And the only way to get out of that cycle is to perform devotional service. So as devotees, as practitioners, as sadhakas, we are deeply seeking blessings and grace in our life. And this is the month where mercy actually goes on sale. So when you go to a shop and you typically get buy one, get one free, you know the shopkeeper is still making a profit in that. They've accounted for the cost and all of that. In the month of Kartik, it is pretty much the same. You perform a devotional service, you get 1,000 times the benefit. And this is where Lord Krishna is putting the blessings on sale. In fact, it's not buy one, get one free, it's do one, get 1,000 times the result. So it is a time where devotees, sadhakas do a bit of austerity, but most importantly, we increase our devotional service. We increase our reading, our japa, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. That we increase in the month of Kartik. And we find, when you look at the calendar, there are multiple festivals in the month of Kartik. You have Sharad Purnima, you have Diwali, you have Govardhan Puja, Bahulashtami, Gopashtami, the last 5 days of Bhishma Panchak. So there's so much power packed into the month of Kartik. And there's many ways we can observe, many ways we can perform devotional service and increase the benefits that we derive. At the end of the day, one grand disciple of Srila Prabhupada, His Holiness Kadam Khan Maharaj, he used to say that we are mercy mongers. We're just, as devotees, we're somehow trying to grab mercy wherever we can. Because this material life is a place of misery, as I've described. And performing devotional service, it's a difficult thing to work against our senses and go against this material nature. So I really encourage everyone. We've got just a few days left, as Maharaj was saying, in the month of Kartik. Increase your devotional service, especially the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. When we chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we're calling out to Krishna. And it is explained in Goloka Vrindavan, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is always resounding in the background. And because we were eternally residents in the spiritual world, we were eternally hearing the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And right now we have amnesia, which means we forgot we are from the spiritual world. We think we are these bodies, we think we're from different parts of the world, we've come to Canada to make a life. But when we hear that mantra, that amnesia is broken and we start to wake up to our original spirituality. Also in the month of Kartik, many of our spiritual acharyas have either appeared or have left this world, disappeared. Now, when we refer to a pure devotee leaving this material world, we wouldn't really say they died. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, an acharya in our parampara, says a devotee, a Vaishnava, he reasons ill who says that Vaishnavas die. Because Vaishnavas always live in the sound, and while they're living, they spread the holy name around. So yesterday, on the Chaturthi Tithi of Kartik month, our founder acharya, His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, left this mortal world and returned to the spiritual world. Now, everyone knows here who Srila Prabhupada is, right? For the newcomer, Srila Prabhupada is the founder of our movement, and I'll spend the next 15-20 minutes describing Srila Prabhupada and what he has achieved. So give me a few seconds as we set up the desktop projector. So I will take a few moments to describe the glories of Srila Prabhupada. And I will be honest, it is a very difficult feat. Because what this personality has established and what he has achieved and what he has given to the world cannot be justified within a 25-minute presentation. But because a lot of this has some qualitative and quantitative facts, I wanted to put together this on a slide deck. So I will describe some of the glories, and with which I invite you to meditate on this personality. Now, as I mentioned, Srila Prabhupada is away from our physical vision, but he's fully available to us. He's available to us through his books, through his institution, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And when we start to know about Srila Prabhupada and what he has done, we start to develop a deeper appreciation. And with that, we start to develop a bit of a relationship with our Acharya. It is very important for all of us to have that connection with the Param Guru in this Sampradaya. So I will describe Srila Prabhupada's early life. For those who are new, this is a very interesting fact to know. He had a very interesting and difficult life until he started ISKCON in 1966. So in 1896 to 1965, and 1965 to 77 when he left the world. And then I'll speak a bit about his heart and his words.
and how we can all establish a relationship with Srila Prabhupada, and time permitting we can open up for some Q&A. So his initial life before coming to the US, it was a beautiful life full of struggles. He was born Abhay Charan Day, that was his name. He was born on Nandotsav, the day after Janmashtami in Calcutta. And that time, 1896, India was obviously under the British rule. So he was born under the British rule. And his mother passed away at a very early age, although she was very attached to him. He did his education in the Scottish churches of India at that time, but he declined to take his certificate because he was part of the Gandhi movement, in which he wanted to participate by saying, I'm not going to accept your education. But still, he completed his course, he completed his education. And then there was a plague, there was so much war, there was, Calcutta was being bombed at that time. There were Hindu-Muslim riots in Calcutta, and Srila Prabhupada experienced all of that in his childhood. He went through some serious difficulties. But in 1922, he met his guru, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And that too, he did not want to meet Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada. He didn't want to meet Bhaktisiddhanta. He said, I don't trust these sadhus. But one of his friends said, no, this is a genuine sadhu, come, let's go. So they both went, and this is a painting in the BBT, where when Srila Prabhupada offered his obeisances, he was trained from a Vaishnava culture. He saw this sadhu sitting there, he offered obeisances, and the sadhu immediately looked at him and said, you are an educated young man. Why don't you preach the message of Lord Chaitanya in the English language? That was in 1922. Then he was a bit taken aback. The first time I'm meeting you, you're giving me an instruction already. And he argued with him. Like, India is under British rule, how can we preach? And he was completely defeated. And he later on recounts that he was very pleased that he was defeated by his spiritual master. Then in 1933, he received formal initiation from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. I just want to pause here and mention, if you look at the life of Srila Prabhupada, he had a lot of milestones in 11-year cycles. So in 22, he met Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. In 33, he got initiated. 11 years from there, 1944, he started the Back to Godhead magazine. Then in 1955, he leaves home for Vrindavan. He didn't formally take sannyas till later. In 1966, he started ISKCON, he registered ISKCON, and in 77, he left this world. 11-year cycles and amazing milestones that he achieved. He tried to support his guru with writings and in the temple, taking some leadership roles, but nothing really happened because his struggles continued. He had given up his degree, obviously he didn't take the certificate, so business was the only way he was to go. And he had a lot of struggles. It is interesting that one astrologer told him he would be one of the richest men in the world. So he thought, okay, maybe business is the way I would go. But he really struggled to get his business up and going. He had a pharmaceutical company called Prayag Pharmacy. And customers, vendors would not pay, his shop got looted. There was actually a fire in his pharmacy. Literally lost everything. But he struggled. And in his heart, there was always this, what can I do for my guru? What can I do for Lord Chaitanya and his movement? And he tried to balance his work, his family life, and his service to his guru. He had many children. He lost one of his sons. Much later, in the 70s, he was recounting to one of his disciples that one of his sons had a mental disability. And although as much as Srila Prabhupada wanted to help him in his grasta life, that son one day just walked off, never to come back. And Srila Prabhupada cried a tear for that. So Srila Prabhupada went through like real struggles as a grasta, raising a family in an environment which is very difficult, going through so many wars, so many plagues, the Hindu-Muslim riots, so many difficulties. And at the same time, he also wanted to perform his spiritual practices. But his family somehow wasn't very supportive. At one point in 1955, he just got very disgusted. This is not happening. I might as well dedicate the last few years of his life. 1955, he was 59 years old. So he had done everything else that he could. And he left for Vrindavan in 1955 and he took sannyas in 1959. And in Vrindavan, he was sitting alone. And he was all alone in Vrindavan. And he had no money. He writes this poem, and this is from his writing. Srila Prabhupada says, I quote, I'm sitting alone in Vrindavan Dham. in this mood, I am getting many realizations. I have my wife, my sons, my daughters, grandsons, everything, but I have no money. So they are a fruitless glory. Krishna has shown me the naked form of material nature. And Srila Prabhupada, let me finish this. By his strength, it has all become tasteless to me today. And Srila Prabhupada explained that he had read in the Bhagavatam where Krishna says, to one who I bestow my most amount of mercy, I will take away everything. And Srila Prabhupada felt that Krishna had taken away everything. In fact, he tried to start a preaching movement, the League of Devotees, in India itself. But it did not, just did not work. So he was really disgruntled, he was sad. But he continued writing. In Vrindavan, he finished the purpose of the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And he had written multiple copies of the Bhaktivedanta magazine that he had started in 1944. Then in the year 1965, Srila Prabhupada thought, let me leave for the West. Let me try that final attempt. And he was born in 1896, 1965. That makes him how many years old? 69 years old. At the age of 69, he left for the US. Now, he didn't go on the first class ticket with Air Canada. He actually went on a cargo ship at the age of 69. And even that, he had to beg for a ticket to come. He had no money. He had to beg, please give me a ticket. Sumati Moraji was the owner of this steam shipping company in India. So she gave him a ticket on a cargo ship. It wasn't very comfortable. And he observed Janmashtami for 1 hour giving a class to all the crewmen. Everyone sit down and he gave a whole class on the ship itself. And on the ship he had 2 heart attacks. Now, just really pause and think, like Krishna, he's going to preach, he's going to the West to start the movement here, like at least help him there. But no. Srila Prabhupada went through 2 heart attacks on the ship. And Srila Prabhupada kept a diary and he writes, if I had a third heart attack, I would definitely have died. But somehow, and he explained, somehow Krishna kept me going. And the captain of the ship, Captain Pandya, he would then later on say that was one of the smoothest sail across the Atlantic that he had. Usually the Atlantic is very stormy, lots of storms, but this was very smooth. So Krishna was guiding that ship. When Srila Prabhupada arrived in the US, now everyone here, is anyone here who was born in Canada? Most of us are immigrants, right? So we have that experience of coming to a new land. So Srila Prabhupada writes, when he came to the US, in the Boston Harbor, he stepped off and he was looking at this land of the United States. And he wasn't sure, should I go right or should I go left? He had no one there to welcome him. But he was there with the mission of his Guru Maharaj. And he was going with the whole trunk load of Srimad Bhagavatam. So he writes, I didn't come alone to the United States. He said the Bhagavatam was coming and I came as a servant of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Then, at the age, in 1965, he was living in New York all alone, for the first time experiencing snow and cold. Do you remember the first time you experienced cold and snow in Canada? It was a weird experience. Imagine at the age of 69, Srila Prabhupada is experiencing that. So if we look into that, in 1965, he had a lot of struggles in New York. He had no income, no disciples. He struggled for 1 year, again, all alone in New York. He was physically attacked by someone who was sharing a room with him. Imagine at the age of 69, a young man got high on drugs and physically attacked Srila. He had to run to save his life. His typewriter, now, throughout that time he was writing books. Now, right now, we all can open the Otter app or whatever app we have and we can dictate and perfectly type it out for us. But Srila Prabhupada was physically typing every word in his books on the typewriter. His typewriter got stolen. Now, talk about challenges that can come your way. He's coming to the West to establish the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And all of this is happening to him. Yet, he remained firm and fixed. His faith was unwavering. He had written many letters to India, please come, please support. And please give us, send some money, we're going to start a temple here. And no support came from India. Yet he continued translating and giving purpose. A small group of hippies at that time, young people in the West, in New York, they started attending some of his classes. So he was giving multiple lectures on the Bhagavad Gita. Then, in early July, he called all those people and said, you know what, we should form a society. We should form an international society. And they said, oh, that sounds good, let's do that. And then on July 13, they didn't even know what was happening. July 13, Srila Prabhupada founded the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So our movement was born physically at that time. And from there, things started to blossom. So that marked the first time in history that Krishna devotees successfully trained non-Indians in the strict discipline of Vaishnavism. And amazingly, this was amongst the hippies that were happening. And slowly, from here, things started to grow. Srila Prabhupada went to San Francisco, and then came back to New York, had a heart attack again, came to India, and then he came back, his visa wasn't happening, but all this time, that turn, that shift was starting to happen. And then over the next 11 years, Srila Prabhupada established 108 temples. Gradually, from San Francisco to Montreal, which was the first country, Canada outside of the US, the movement started to grow. Srila Prabhupada sent his disciples to the UK, and we started establishing Radha Krishna temples in each of the 6 continents outside of Antarctica, obviously. He taught his disciples the deity worship, and for the first time, Radha Krishna temples were opening in South America, in Africa, in Australia, in even Russia. Devotees were starting to be made, and Srila Prabhupada was spearheading all of this. What is very interesting is that 32 temples opened in a single year, between 1970 and 1971. There was almost 3 temples each month. That is how the explosion started to happen. Srila Prabhupada also founded the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust. And that is the arm that prints and publishes Srila Prabhupada's books. And to date, up till to date, we have over 500 million literatures that have been published in 90 languages and are being distributed throughout the world. Srila Prabhupada also wrote approximately 70 books. Now, you'll find typically it is said Srila Prabhupada wrote 80 books, but the Delta 10 is from whenever he would preach, like he created the Life Comes from Life lecture series, and he made a book out of it. So like that, there are roughly 10 books. So let's say there are 80 books he wrote in his life that propagated the Krishna consciousness movement throughout the world. I want to show a video, and I'm hoping the audio will work. Yes.
Srila Prabhupada's works. It becomes the world's largest distributor of...
Sorry about the technical glitch. Now, this video, it's a brief video that shows how BBT in those days functioned and how Srila Prabhupada made it all happen.
Bhagavad Gita. Established in 1972, the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust exclusively publishes Srila Prabhupada's works. It becomes the world's largest distributor of books in the field of Indian religion and philosophy. For Srila Prabhupada, the transcendental knowledge in these books forms the basis of the Hare Krishna movement. Then in October, Srila Prabhupada returns to his old home, Vrindavan, to spend his final days. Even though he is physically incapacitated, Srila Prabhupada's intellect remains clear. He continues dictating translations and comments on his life's work, Srimad Bhagavatam, until days before he departs from this world.
That's last few days. That Srila Prabhupada, till his last breath, he is translating his books. I want to also give a second video on Srila Prabhupada explaining should we read his books. This is where
in 1970,
do you read Prabhupada's?
if you don't read, then it is restless. Let me go from Japan to India, from India to Japan. You are restless because you don't read. I am really so hard for you, but you don't take advantage. Don't take advantage of eating and sleeping. Take advantage of these books. Then you will like to listen. My duty, I am giving so valuable things. Day and night, depending on what to work. And if you don't take advantage of it, then what can I do for you?
So that is very important for all of us to understand. When Srila Prabhupada is saying that why aren't we taking advantage of his books? Because he has spent so much time translating every single word for us. If we don't take advantage of his books, we will be restless in our minds. And therefore, I really welcome all of us to take advantage of his books. But one last video that I want to show about Srila Prabhupada speaking about first of all books.
So for the time being, the money will not be used for the construction of my.
So just some context, this is a discussion between one of the DBT managers and Srila Prabhupada in his room in Los Angeles. And they're making a request to Srila Prabhupada about some financial transaction. Just watch out for how Srila Prabhupada responds and where his mind is at.
You only use it for books.
They have already taken 1 lakh from me.
Now Gopal Krishna in India requested that BBT give him a loan of $160,000. In India, just during the Mayapur festival, he requested a loan from the US BBT
That's all about
for $160,000, which would be used to construct the second residence building.
How will pay back?
His
How do
plan
you
was
do
that
that?
the American temples would purchase rooms, and over a period of 4 or 5 years, they would pay that money back. So is that still approved by you?
Is that approved?
Yes, I know.
The only thing is that we will have to delay the loan, because for the next 3 months, all our money will be used to print these 17 books.
Festival books.
That's the
There
law.
is no. However, we cannot hold a printing. There is nothing. You must always think we are not going to the surplus money. Not that at the cost of stopping. You must always when you require money for printing, there is no question of loan. This will be our.
So that, dear devotees, is Srila Prabhupada's heart when it comes to books and running temples. And that is His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj that is referred to in that video. So Srila Prabhupada said, first of all books, before any loans for any temple. So Srila Prabhupada established all that, but he also initiated Westerners into Gaudiya Vaishnavism. For the first time ever, we had a pure Vaishnavism that is brought out to the West, and he initiated 5,000 disciples from diverse nationalities, diverse races, ethnicities, and religious backgrounds and languages. All of them, Srila Prabhupada initiated them. Then he also started the Rath Yatra. The first Rath Yatra outside of India was Srila Prabhupada. And now we have hundreds of these happening across the world. Lord Jagannath is coming out. In fact, the mutt in Udupi, the Madhvacharya mutt, they were saying that, if you need to purify your sins, you go to the Ganga. But Srila Prabhupada came to the West for people who could not go to the Ganga. And we know, Narottam Das Thakur says, Darshane Pavitra Karo Eitu Manapu. That the quality of a pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada is through his darshan, everyone gets purified. And Srila Prabhupada bought Rath Yatra to the West. Srila Prabhupada bought the Govinda's restaurant, which now many other spiritual movements are starting to take on. But the first chain of vegetarian restaurants across the world was started by Srila Prabhupada. And you could see the Western mindset is always about, let's go eat out. Whenever you speak to Western people, non-devotees, it's a cultural thing here. It's a way of nothing exchange. You sit at a cafe, restaurant, no one is worried about cooking, and you order something nice. Srila Prabhupada understood that, and he dovetailed it in a Vaishnava way. Srila Prabhupada also recorded more than 20 albums on devotional music. Now it is interesting. In the early days, Srila Prabhupada was the only Madanga player in ISKCON. So he would sing on the harmonium, and they would record that track. And then you would listen on the headphones, as you can see, very attentively. Madanga players, you have to know exactly when to change the tune, the tahiya, and everything. Srila Prabhupada then would play the Madanga on his own recording. So he played the Madanga that was recorded for his own track. We should try doing that sometime. Then he released the Hare Krishna albums to his disciples, which was the fastest selling of all Apple Corporation releases, and that is the Apple Corporation of George Harrison. And it was one of the fastest, it was always on the top of the charts, the Hare Krishna chant. And many new devotees came through that. Srila Prabhupada on a daily basis would have lectures on all the philosophies. Every place that he went to, his servants would say, he would simply change his clock and follow the time in that new time zone. And he gave more than 2,200 recorded lectures on all topics from Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and Chaitanya Charitamrita. Then every day he would have darshans. He would open his door and say, anyone wants to come in and ask any question. And it was glorious how 1,300 recorded and archived such darshans happened. I'm sure there are more, but that's what we have on record. Srila Prabhupada started the Back to Godhead magazine, which is the backbone of our movement. And in its height of circulation in the mid-70s, over 1 million copies per issue were sold. That was the Back to Godhead. Srila Prabhupada established the Gurukula system, where educate the young generation in the principles of devotional service. Srila Prabhupada also started the Bhaktivedanta Institute, where the advanced Krishna consciousness within the scientific realm was bridged, and the scientific aspects of Krishna consciousness were preached. And that's where things like Science of Self-Realization, a very, very foundational book in our movement, came. Srila Prabhupada started farm communities, the New Vrindavan farm community, and so many others across the world, where he was teaching everyone simple living and high thinking. He would say in the West, we're simply living and not thinking. Now he wants to create an environment where we are having a simple living and high thinking, keeping God in the center. Srila Prabhupada counseled his disciples on complex managerial, philosophical, and personal issues in more than 6,000 archived letters. Mind you, that's in an 11-year period. In 11 years, Srila Prabhupada wrote 6,000 letters. Now there was no email, no fax even at that time, for those who remember fax. It was all typed out and posted to various centers. Srila Prabhupada traveled around the world. He circled the globe 14 times, visiting 24 countries, preaching, inspiring his followers, and making countless public appearances before multitudes of people. And many devotees look up to that and say that is an unmatched CEO. No one in today's age can say they're even close to doing that. Without any technology, Srila Prabhupada managed and ran 108 centers across the world. So in wrapping up, my last slide would be a request to all of you to please establish your relationship with Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is accessible and available to all of us. Many devotees who've come to Krishna consciousness, they will explain they came to Srila Prabhupada's books only. No devotee taught them anything. But they read Srila Prabhupada's books and their life got transformed. He's accessible through his books, through all these recordings of lectures, through all his written texts. He is personally available to guide you and connect with you. And as our founder Acharya, he plays a significant role in our lives. Every decision we make, many times all devotees wonder, what would Srila Prabhupada do and what would he want to say? With that, at time, I would say, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Vallabh Prabhu. Let's give him another round of applause. Thank you so much for reminding us about the importance of what Srila Prabhupada left for us and how lucky we are to have this wonderful community across the world. Thank you so much. Now we'll have a few words from Dharma Prabhu to speak about the Shastra Dan program that has just kicked off. So I'll pass it to Dharma Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. As Vallabh Prabhu said, that book is the basis, number one, and for Prabhupada, book is the soul. And this month being Kartik month, any dhan we do, Prabhu said, multiplies 1,000 times. We have a request from a devotee from Montreal. Who like to propagate Bhagavad Gita in Cuba. Last year we were able to send 1,000 books, and now he's planning to send more books. So there is an opportunity for devotees to sponsor books. So 100 books of bound is $590. His target is to raise about 500 books. If anyone like to sponsor Spanish Bhagavad Gita, softbound or hardbound, please contact me. So get benefited from this book distribution of Shastra Dan. Thank you, Hare Krishna. So that is not visible. This code where we have 100 books, 590 hardbound, is 1,250. Whatever you like, you can sponsor. Is it's a dhan, and we are going to implement it in Cuba, where books become for foundation for any scriptures, right? It always stays easy to get the knowledge from the books. Bhagavad Gita books written by Prabhupada is used in our universities and other universities for MBA students. We distribute average of 6 million Bhagavad Gita books every year. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Dharma Prabhu. Now we will move to the next part of our program, which is the offering of the Deepdan to Yashoda Damodar, and we'll be singing the Damodar Ashtakam as well. The words should be on the screen shortly. If you don't have them, or if you want them, you can also pull them up on your phone, but they should be on the screen as well. We can hear the children are practicing already. They're practicing for next week actually, so you're getting a bit of a preview already. Namamishwaram Sachidanandharupam Rasakundalam Gopure Bhajamanam Kripa Drishti Vishya
Translation: To the Supreme Lord, whose form is the embodiment of eternal existence, knowledge and bliss, whose shark-shaped earrings are swinging to and fro, who is beautifully shining in the divine realm of Gokula, who, due to the offense of breaking the pot of yogurt that his mother was churning into butter and then stealing the butter that was kept hanging from a swing, is quickly running from the wooden grinding motor. He in fear of Mother Yashoda, but who has been caught from behind by her, who ran after him with greater speed. To that Supreme Lord Sri Damodara, I offer my humble obeisances. Seeing the whipping stick in his mother's hand, he is crying and rubbing his eyes again and again with his two lotus hands. His eyes are filled with fear, and the necklace of pearls around his neck, which is marked with 3 lines like a conch shell, is shaking because of his quick breathing due to crying. To this Supreme Lord Sri Damodara, whose belly is bound not with ropes but with his mother's pure love, I offer my humble obeisances. By such childhood pastimes as this, he is drowning the inhabitants of Gokula in pools of ecstasy and is revealing to those devotees who are absorbed in knowledge of his supreme majesty and opulence that he is only conquered by devotees whose pure love is imbued with intimacy and is free from all conceptions of awe and reverence. With great love, I again offer my obeisances to Lord Damodara hundreds and hundreds of times. O Lord, although you are able to give all kinds of benedictions, I do not pray to you for the boon of impersonal liberation, nor the highest liberation of eternal life in Vaikuntha, nor any other boon which may be obtained by executing the 9 processes of bhakti. O Lord, I simply wish that this form of yours as Bal Gopal in Vrindavan may ever be manifest in my heart, for what is the use to me of any other boon besides this? O Lord, your lotus face, which is encircled by locks of soft black hair tinged with red, is kissed again and again again by Yashoda, and your lips are reddish like the bimba fruit. May this beautiful vision of your lotus face be ever manifested in my heart. Thousands and thousands of other benedictions are of no use to me. O Supreme Godhead, I offer my obeisances unto you. O Damodara, O Ananta, O Vishnu, O Master, O my Lord, be pleased upon me. By showering your glance of mercy upon me, deliver me out of ignorance, who is immersed in an ocean of worldly sorrows and become visible to my eyes. O Lord Damodara, just as the 2 sons of Kuver, Manigriv and Nalkuver, were delivered from the curse of Narad and made into great devotees by you in your form as a baby, tied with rope to a wooden grinding mortar. In the same way, please give to me your own prema bhakti. I only long for this and have no desire for any kind of vocation. O Lord Damodara, I first of all offer my obeisances to the brilliantly effulgent rope which binds your body. I then offer my obeisances.
Plates and spoons, a few spoons and plates.
I humbly bow down to your most beloved Srimati Radharani and offer all obeisances to you, the Supreme Lord, who displays unlimited pastime.
Thank you so much. So now we'll move to the last part of the program, which is Prasadam, but we'll first have the prayers to honor Prasadam sung by Vihan. Hare Krishna.
Mahaprasade Govinde, Mahaprasade Govinde, Namo Dhammi
Just one couple quick announcements before. So just let's all chant one. I didn't mention it earlier, but let's chant the Hare Krishna mantra three times for Amrita Ganga Mataji's mother who recently passed away. So if we can just chant Hare Krishna 3 times for her soul. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Thank you. And we're going to now do a little cake cutting. As you can see, it was Darshini Mataji's birthday some time ago. I think it was last week, or no, some time ago now. Oh yeah. So, but we're going to cut a cake for Mataji. So if we could all just join in and celebrate with her as she cuts the cake. Hare Krishna. The kids can join as well with the cake cutting. Hare Krishna to you, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna to you, Hare Rama to you, Hare Rama to you, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama to you. Jai. Thank you. Now we'll have His Grace Sauri Prabhu wants to say a few words, so we'll give him a few minutes to speak a few words. He's actually a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, so it's going to be great to hear a few words from him about Srila Prabhupada. Yes.
Hare Krishna. It's my great opportunity to speak about Prabhupada, because when he left his body,